I refused to walk my daughter down the aisle because I'm not her real father.
And you are not the father.
My daughter, 26 female, and I haven't spoken in years. When she was 15, we found out she wasn't my biological daughter, and my wife had cheated on me years ago with a friend. By the way, this comes from user Her Wedding Day, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. I'm Dakota.
I am Riley.
And I'm Angie.
And we're here to give you good advice, goofily. But we don't have all the answers. We only know what we would do. So if you would do something different, why don't you just let us know in them there comments. As it turns out, this so-called friend was suddenly interested in playing dad. My wife and I divorced. My daughter learned the truth, and I told her I still loved her no matter what. Of course, she was interested now in getting to know her biological father, and while it hurt, I tried to accept that. She started pulling away from me after that. Even when trying to still do things together as a family, she was no longer interested. The last straw was when she was 20 and living at my house. We were arguing because she had dropped from her college courses, hadn't done anything for 3 months, and was mad because I told her she either needed to go to school or work if she wanted to stay here for free. She told me I'm not her real dad, so stop pretending like I am, and she'd just go stay with her real father. That broke me, honestly. But I told her if that's how she really feels, then there's really nothing left to say between us. And she did go move out to live with him. I was depressed for a very long time and drank way too much. My son, 24 male, was my only reason to keep moving forward. For the first couple of years, I reached out to my daughter. She wanted no contact, so I learned to accept that and move on. It helped me find more peace in my life. My son stopped talking to her for a while over this and was angry with her. They still chat sometimes, which doesn't bother me at all. Through him, I learned her biological father passed away in October of 2019, and also that she's engaged. She reached out to me, first saying that she knows that we haven't talked in a while, but she wants to ask me if I'd be willing to walk her down the aisle. After a pretty long message about how much she hurt me in the past with her actions, I told her no. She didn't want me to be her father anymore, so I learned to no longer view her as my daughter. This turned into a fight between us because, according to her, it's not her fault she wanted to know her real dad. And I agreed with her that it's not, but what was her fault was how she treated me ever since. In my mind, I know if he hadn't passed, we wouldn't even be speaking right now. It ended with me telling her I hope she enjoys her wedding, but I want no part of it or her life. My son told me that she's ranting to my family that I'm ruining her day and that she thought parents are supposed to love their kids unconditionally, but he's not your dad. My brothers now seem to think that I'm being an a-hole and that this is my chance to be in her life again. But I have no interest in that. Still, everyone seems to have a strong opinion that I'm making it difficult for my daughter to have the wedding she wants when it would mean a lot to her. My son is on my side, but the comments are still wearing me down, and just for the sake of my sanity, am I being an a-hole? There are some comments here. A downvoted comment says, you're the a-hole. I'm sorry about what you've been through, but I think you're going to regret this. Your daughter was just a kid when she found out you weren't her biological father. And while you've been through it, the whole thing must have messed with her head in ways you can't even imagine. The exchange you had when she was 20 and you told her to get a job and she cut contact is actually something that happens to a lot of biological parents. So as unpleasant and unreasonable as her behavior was, it's not particularly unusual, and reconciliation is possible. Does she have a responsibility now that she's older and wiser to put all that angst and confusion behind her and handle the situation like an adult? Yes, and that's what she's trying to do.
She could have done that before her dad, her real dad, died.
And she could, yeah, it is what it is. OP says, reconciliation is not something I want anymore. I've made peace with my life for the first time since this whole thing came out. Commenter 1, not the a-hole. She decided that you're not her father in any capacity. You've respected that. Now that the other guy is gone, she doesn't get to change the rules. She doesn't want you. She wants someone to play a part. Maybe your son could be the one to give her away instead. OP says, maybe, but he's already said he's not going to the wedding. Not because of just this. He just doesn't want to. I don't know what his response would be if she asked him. They're not super close, despite talking every now and then. An OP on his son and daughter's relationship, he says they've had their own issues. I've told him many times that I'm more than okay with him still having a relationship with his sister, and he should go to the wedding. OP clarifies on if he spoke with his daughter face to face. OP says the meeting was in person. Even if I felt her apology was genuine, my feelings would remain the same. Trust me, I know how much of a shock it was when she found out. On top of that, divorcing her mom. It's why we had her and my son in therapy for years to help her and us process everything. It's been well over 6 years since she decided she didn't want us to have a relationship. It cuts you deep, and with help from my son as well as therapy, eventually I managed to get by. Finally, I have found peace in my life and don't intend to lose it. And there's an update, and I think the whole moral of this story is that he has like 2 sodas and he just shakes them up
Oh, yeah.
And then he opens one right away and it like explodes and the soda goes everywhere. And it's basically just saying like, when you're like angry and worked up and you say something, once that comes out, you can't really put it back in the bottle. It's too late. And there's an update. Thank you for your support, especially those fellow parents who reached out in my messages. Advice, judgment, and suggestions on what to do about my family. It took sending a mass text to everyone who wouldn't leave me alone about this. It took me some time to think of what to write and clear my head from everything. The reminder of everything that I did over the years to try and be in her life and where that all ended. How detrimental it was to my mental health. They all remember what it was like and how much it put me in a dark place that took lots of therapy and the need to be there for my son to get out of. My brother called me after and he apologized for the way he had been pushing this. We had a much longer conversation. I told him my decision to remain out of her life was final, so he respected that. Since no one else has said anything, I'm hoping that means everybody else got the message. Best thing someone suggested here was blocking out the others saying things and her. It wasn't doing my mind any good. I spoke to her over the phone to talk about the way she's been behaving online and the others in the family. I apologized for how things happened and wish she didn't have to deal with these life-altering moments at such a young age. She made her choice for the past 6 years just the way I have. Even asked her to be honest with herself and answered, not to me, if her biological father hadn't passed, would we be here right now speaking to each other? But that's fine. It's a question for her to honestly answer for herself, like I did before I told her to enjoy her wedding and hope it's a lovely, healthy marriage. And by the way, it would be lovely if you listen to full episodes with stories like this on your favorite podcast platform, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Just look up OK Storytime.
Yep.
Just do it. The way that he has gone about this, it's not like he's like vengeful or doing it because it's like, well, that's what you get. He's like, no, I do. I mean, I don't wish ill upon you. I hope that it goes well. I hope you have a good one. I hope your marriage goes well. But I'm just not going to be your dad.
It's sort of, you know, actions have consequences. Your action in choosing this is me withdrawing from your life. And you got to understand that, kid.
Your dad's gone. You backed the wrong horse. So the door to our relationship is closed. I hope she could find peace with that and enjoy her life the way I have. The conversation ended shortly after that. She didn't say if she would stop saying anything about me online, so I just made sure to block her and others on her mom's side of the family to make sure there's no more bothering. This is the peace of mind I needed, and I'm glad to have taken up this advice. And there's some more comments. OP explains more about his daughter's school, the divorce, and his relationship with her. OP says, you want to know why she stopped school? She said it wasn't for her at the time, as she didn't know what to major in. She had changed majors twice at the time. Okay, it's fine. School isn't for everyone, and it's understandable not knowing what you want to do with your life. However, going out with friends or to her mom's and then doing nothing at home isn't an option. I told her if she wanted to keep living here rent-free, as in I would start charging her for rent, not punt her out, then she needed to find a job while she figures out what to do with her life. In regards to the divorce, we had both kids in therapy because obviously at the time, nobody in the family was mentally equipped to do it alone. And she had been in therapy for years after to get used to all this new information, as well as taking the proper steps to slowly introduce her biological dad into her life since she decided that's what she wanted. What makes you think I took a step back from being a father when he started coming around? Did you forget that she lived with me? Exactly. She wanted to get to know him and have a relationship, so we worked to make that happen. What other details would you like to know rather than making up assumptions about my life?
It seems like he did the practical things to have a nice relationship with his daughter and like his daughter's bio dad. And the other thing he had to navigate, correct me if I'm wrong here, my reading comprehension's a little off on this story. Didn't Opie's wife cheat on him with this guy?
Yeah.
That's also another thing Opie had to navigate is like, how can I have a relationship with my daughter's bio father that also, you know, was boinking my wife on the side?
I mean, I don't think he was ever going to have a relationship with that guy.
Yeah.
It's more just like,
how do I navigate that with my daughter?
And it's like, yeah, I'll let her do whatever. Like, he did literally everything right. This may not be relevant, but if you're still listed as her father on the birth certificate, please update your will as you would want, or else she could claim a portion of your inheritance. And OP says, sorry, I didn't answer before, but I'm no longer on her birth certificate.
Whoa.
Yeah, and
that's how far they went?
You're not my daughter. I'm not your dad.
Oh my god.
You tell me I'm not your dad. I'm not your dad. I'm not your dad.
That is insane.
And honestly, if she had maybe come back in a way that was like just maybe even 5%, I actually am concerned about, you.
Yeah,
and,
yeah,
I
yeah,
hope
yeah.
you're doing okay.
Any
and, like,
sympathy
I'm
at
sorry
all.
about how this happened, and like it was a mistake. I regret it. Instead, it was just like, well, you're my dad, so don't you want to walk me down the aisle? I know it's been a while, but don't you want to walk me down the aisle?
I know
and
it's
as
been
soon
like
as you said no,
6
she
years.
was like,
OP has gotten more impressions off of this video on every single platform than you, daughter, will ever have. And we are seeing his side. So.
My sister demanded me to move my wedding date because she's pregnant.
Well, have your baby a little bit faster then.
That's
I don't know.
right. Squeeze it out. I'm in a bit of a weird situation. My fiance and I aren't the most traditional and wanted to have our wedding as more of a family vacation with the bonus of a wedding. My parents have a beautiful lakefront house that we decided to have our wedding at. By the way, this comes from Helen Keller's voice. And if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit. I'm John.
I'm Andrew.
I'm Riley.
Purposely did that to her. And we're here to give good advice, Goofly, but we don't have all the answers. We only know what we do. So please let us know what you would do in the comments. When we initially were planning our wedding and figuring out dates, I wanted to have it on June 26th. 26th is important to us because that's the day my fiance and I first met. But when speaking over it with my family, my sister said no because she already had a vacation on that date. I was sad, but it wasn't the end of the world, so we decided on June 4th to June 9th. Everything was working out perfectly. I let both of our families know to put our wedding down for those dates and started wedding planning. It was all perfect until last night. I got a FaceTime from my dad who showed me the ultrasound, and I was super excited. All of the congratulations, jumping around because I'm going to be an auntie. I am so excited for them and for my future niece or nephew. But it all came crashing down when I asked my sister when she is due, and she said, May 1st, so we're going to have to talk about your wedding. I assumed she just meant that she wasn't going to be able to be in attendance. So I told them that it's okay and we can just FaceTime them in, and her jaw dropped. I knew my emotions would get the best of me, so I said we can talk about it later. So we went back to the congratulations and thinking of baby names. After the call, I can't lie, I had a bit of a breakdown. I already moved my dates once to accommodate my sister, which was all fine, and I didn't push back on it. But after 7 months of planning our wedding around this date and having my fiance plan around it, I don't want to change it. Unfortunately, I know my family and they will push for me to move it and will disrespect my decision not to. I know traveling with a newborn baby is going to be hard, which is why I offered up FaceTiming her instead, but it seems like that's offensive to them to not want my sister to be present at the wedding. I feel so insanely guilty about being upset over having to change my wedding dates because my sister is pregnant. She's bringing a beautiful new family member into our lives, but I'm still a bit heartbroken that if I don't change the wedding date, that I will be seen as an inconsiderate a-hole in my family. So it begs the question, am I the a-hole for not wanting to push back my wedding because my sister is pregnant? We got some comments, ladies and gentlemen. So commenter says, not the a-hole, but I'd move back to the 26th because that's the day that matters to you and your fiance.
Exactly.
Now she'll only want to go if she can bring the baby, or she'll probably try and get you to move it even further, saying so she's not traveling with a newborn. Obviously, people are going to be upset no matter what you do or don't do, but all that really matters is you and your fiance, because the moment y'all are married, you're each other's main priorities, and no one else should matter when it comes to what you both want. I'm very scared of that since she is going to be a first-time mama, and we don't know if she's going to have postpartum depression or PPA, if baby is going to have colic. I'm scared that if I do push back our wedding to August or September, and then she still can't make it / wants us to push it back even further, I will resent and distance myself from her. And the commenter says, tell us your sister is the golden child without saying it. Opie says, my sister is the golden child of the family.
Well, you said it.
You said it.
Misunderstood the
God
assignment.
dang it. Not tried to be hidden. She's extremely involved in the family, visits them every weekend while I live across the country, so I only visit them typically once a year, but do FaceTime them regularly. My parents are also very money driven, and my sister is a doctor in comparison to my brother and I, who do trades. She's the definition of the perfect child. She also typically plans all the trips, vacations, or outings for my family because she's extremely type A and likes to control situations.
You don't say.
You don't say. She's a bit stubborn, likes things her way or not at all. We've always just gone with it because it's easier. I expected my wedding to be the line, but I guess not. Commenter, not the a-hole, remind the family that it's not just your family that's being impacted by their push to move the dates, and that those specific dates are the only ones that work for both sides, then tell them that no, you will not move the dates to accommodate your sister again since you already did it once. And we have an update. Do we think that they're going to agree? Yeah. 8 days later. So a lot has happened in the past few days. I called my brother the day after I made my post. He understood where I was coming from and told me that I should absolutely not change my wedding date. If only the sister's husband knew where he was coming from, we wouldn't be here in the first place. Since I was worried about speaking to my mom and being ganged up on, we planned when to speak to my mom about not wanting to change my fiance's and my wedding dates so he could be there to talk to her on my behalf if my emotions got the best of me. That didn't happen. My mom called me the next day to talk it over. I informed her that I was not going to change my wedding date. Yes. And she was upset initially, but surprisingly receptive to it. I was extremely happy about that until she said, you need to talk to your sister about that because she's not going to be happy being forced out 1 month postpartum. I explained that I wasn't expecting or forcing her to attend. Then my mom said, no, she's coming to your wedding. I don't care if she's a new mom. After that, I got in a bit of an argument with my mom about her forcing my sister to do something that isn't the best for her and her future family, which ended with me hanging up on her. I don't take being spoken to in a harsh tone easily and will tell the other person to take a minute to reevaluate their tone and come back. During the call, she also let slip that she was extremely disappointed in me for going to my brother for support instead of her and said I was just creating family drama for no reason. But it is what it is. I needed a family perspective, which is why I called my brother. I ended up trying to call my sister the next day, but it was declined, so I texted her and informed her that I would not be changing my wedding date. It was a much longer text explaining reasons and emotions. She replied a day later with, you and I both know that your wedding dates aren't officially set. And the only factor would be communicating the change to your fiance's family. I hope the hassle is worth having my and your literal niece or nephew's presence. I explained that I had already ordered and put the money down on multiple things, as well as having my fiance's family planning and accommodating around this date for 7 months. She was not receptive, in my opinion, and said, there are really no excuses. You have the power to move the date, even just a little later in the summer to include me, and you're choosing not to. That hurts. I ended up responding that I am not choosing to have her at my wedding, but understand she may not be able to come and will have FaceTime in instead. I also explained that I already moved my wedding date once to accommodate her. I asked her to try and put herself in my shoes and how she would have felt if I asked her to push back the wedding. She replied, I would have moved the date in the heartbeat. That's the difference between us. Now, at that point, I decided to offer up pushing it back to the 26th of June, as some comments suggested, to see if she would still be going to her previously planned vacation.
Oh,
Angie's point.
good question. I would love to know.
Right? Thank God I did, because she told me she couldn't do the 26th as she was still going to her vacation 20 days after my wedding. You know how much can change in 20 days, Angie?
How much?
So 20 days before I can't go to your wedding, that's me. I'm dead to the world.
Exactly.
After 20 days, I am Usain Bolt. I am Michael Phelps.
Yeah.
I am literally doing any triathlon you throw at me.
Right. Oh, yeah. I'm going on the longest plane rides.
Yeah.
But guess what, though? If you wanted to move your date back, you have to move it back 4 months instead of, or what is it, 3 months? What's the difference between June and September?
Something like
I'll
that.
be going on 5 vacations between then, but I can't go to a wedding because I just had a baby.
I am not the most knowledgeable about babies since I don't have one and have only known my best friend's baby. But I don't feel like there's a huge difference between traveling with a 1-month-old and traveling with a 1.5-month-old. So that solidified in my mind that she doesn't care about me, my fiance, or her feelings, but still expects everyone else to accommodate her. At this point, as per my fiance's advice, I'm putting it in the F it drawer in my head, and I am not going to stress about it anymore because everyone knows the date is set. If my family would like to show up to my wedding, that would be amazing. But if not, I'm not going to be upset. And at the end of the day, this will just show me who to prioritize as a family in my life, because family is not always blood. Update number 2, 10 days later. Everything was as calm and relaxed as could be. My sister hasn't talked to me since the conversation, but I figured she was just pissed off at me and dealing with everything involved with the pregnancy. But getting to the hilarious part of this update, 2 days ago, we get a FaceTime call from my fiance's sister-in-law showing us 2 positive pregnancy tests. She's due the first week of June, aka when our wedding is. My fiance and I did all of the congratulations and excitement, etc., because once again, first grandchild and baby in the family. After the call, my fiance and I just looked at each other and bursted out laughing. His sister-in-law is having the first grandbaby on his side all within the month before or during our wedding. Like, what are the chances? My fiance and I have always had bad luck with planning things, which is why we were planning a relaxed, chill wedding instead of a big, extravagant one. We had a few minutes conversation, and it ended with us agreeing, in my fiance's words, "F it. Let's just elope." So that's exactly what we're doing.
Woo.
Like I said, we aren't traditional. And honestly, we were just doing all of this for our family so they could feel included and have a fun time at the lake house. But with all the babies and 9 out of the 14 people invited not being able to attend, my sister and brother-in-law, her mother-in-law and her brother-in-law, my fiance's mom, dad, and little sister and his brother and her sister-in-law, why even have the whole wedding thing? So we're going to the courthouse on June 26th, the date I originally wanted, but wouldn't work with my sister's scheduled vacation, to get married. We're going to keep the photographer that we have a deposit down on and just switch from wedding photos to a couple shoot. We are also still planning on going to the lake house and just taking it as a pre-honeymoon. Ooh, you want to know what is a eternal honeymoon that you'll never leave from? Joining us live on YouTube and Facebook every weekday at 3 p.m. PST. And we're probably live right freaking now. So why don't you just tap into that glorious, eternal, never-ending honeymoon?
Oh, yeah.
Do it forever. We've already let all of our family know the wedding thing is canceled. My side is relieved, and his side is sad because they don't have an opportunity to celebrate us as a couple. But it just wasn't what the universe wanted, and we'll plan something in the next couple of years to get all of our families together and celebrate maybe one of our anniversaries. Honestly, I can't even be upset because it's so comical that one major event we've been planning doesn't work because everyone's getting pregnant and being due around or during our wedding. But at the end of the day, we're getting married and getting some adorable little nieces and nephews. This will be the last update because no more wedding means no more drama. But guess what, Angie?
What?
Opie's right. There is no other update.
Whoa.
And that's the end of the story.
No more drama, dude.
I didn't make my teen sister my maid of honor. Then she got revenge years later.
Dude, this is not the villain arc I was expecting.
I had my sister, 23 female, in my wedding party back in 2017. When my husband and I were getting things in order for choosing people to have in our bridal party, I contacted my sister, 16 at the time, about being part of it as we are very close. By the way, this comes from Doctor Who Lover. And if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit. I'm John.
I'm Riley.
I'm Carly.
And we're here to give good advice goofily, but we don't have all the answers. We only know what we do, so let us know what you would do in the comments. I explained that I would like for her to be a bridesmaid and not the maid of honor, only due to how young she was and not wanting to stress her in any way, emotionally or financially. I made sure that she was okay with this before contacting the others I wanted to be in the bridal party. My maid of honor planned a bachelorette party for me with a nice dinner followed by an escape room and a private room at a karaoke bar. She had already reserved the room at the bar, and if she canceled, she would not have gotten part of her money back. Another thing to understand is all of my bridesmaids except my sister were in the same location. My sister was 2 hours away. After being told that plan, I called my sister and explained it to her. I said that she could come up and stay in my spare room at my apartment, but would not be able to go to the bar because of her age. I gave her the option of either doing that or I would come down one weekend and we would go on a girls' trip to wherever on my dime. She chose the latter, saying she understood and was okay with the arrangement. I had the bachelorette party and it was a blast. True to my word, I went down the next month and my sister and I went out of town to go shopping and spend the weekend together. Fast forward to late last year when my sister got engaged to the sweetest guy. I was ecstatic for them and proud of the woman my sister had become. I got the invite to be part of the bridesmaids party, which I was honored by, but she did not have me be the maid of honor. This honestly did not bother me, as she is entitled to having whoever she wants in the party and the role they play. About a month ago, I got some pictures from my mom of my sister and her other bridesmaids. She told me that I missed a great bachelorette party and that it was upsetting I couldn't come because of work commitments. I told her I had no idea what she was talking about. I was informed that my sister had told our parents that I declined to come to the bachelorette party because I was traveling for work. I called my sister and asked why she didn't tell me about the bachelorette party and lied to our parents. She said that it was to put me in my place for not changing my bachelorette party plans to be able to include her and for not making her the maid of honor at my wedding. So I thought that we had gotten past this and that she had been okay with all the choices and accommodations, but apparently she had been deeply hurt about not being my maid of honor and being excluded from the bachelorette party. So Reddit, am I the a-hole for not having my sister as my maid of honor and not having my actual maid of honor change the bachelorette party plans so she could attend the whole thing? I understand it is in the past and it can't be changed, but now I feel incredibly guilty for not choosing her as the maid of honor and changing the party plans at that time. Commenter says, not the a-hole. Your sister sure can hold a grudge. To be clear, she had the option of coming for dinner and the escape room, but instead opted for you to visit her. It was unrealistic of her to expect your whole bachelorette to center around a teenager. That's what I was saying earlier when I'm like, honestly, I think like it's okay if we do the thing that's because this is for the bride at the end of the day.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
It's at the bride. You're kind of, in a way, a liability to everyone having fun here because of your age and you live so far away.
Yeah.
So,
I would sneak you in, though.
yeah.
Sister. I'm surprised she doesn't get that now as an adult/bride. She did have the option to come to the dinner and escape room, but chose the option I offered of coming to her and spending the weekend with her and giving her a shopping spree. It was on my dime in the sense of I paid for the gas to get to where we went, and I paid for some of the activities that were not as expensive, go-karting, mini golf, etc., and then I paid for our dinner. Anything she wanted to buy when we were shopping was on her. It doesn't surprise me that she has held a grudge this long, as there are some friends she still doesn't talk to because of petty things that happened in middle or high school. She is the youngest in our family and has always been the princess. Things being changed to accommodate her schedule, so it is probably a mentality thing. She was always favored by her parents when setting up holidays, and I was expected to alter my work plans. To be fair, I never argued about it, just did it to keep the peace, but that is probably where she got this ingrained mentality. I'm not trying to rag on her because whatever, I wasn't included. That's on her, and she will probably regret it one day, but I need to know if I was the a-hole back then to understand if I should be apologizing now. We got some more commenters here. Anything you say to her, she's going to make it about you creating drama on her big day.
Oh, yeah.
I suggest you either just steer clear, let her have her day, and accept she doesn't want your involvement, or you could talk about the situation and have a third neutral party mediating the situation, or come to the wedding as a guest with a fabulous dress and have a fun time with your husband. I'm going to give her a wedding gift of champagne and say, congratulations, you can have it now. OP responds to that, lol, I love the ideas, but I'll probably go with the first option and just write it out. I'm a huge person who thinks that things work themselves out and your regrets will catch up to you. I'm not going to make a big deal out of her not including me in the party. Whatever, she just won't have memories of us together on that day, but I will probably address her issues with letting things go. This is a pattern for her behavior and something that almost ended my marriage before we worked through it with a lot of counseling. I don't want her relationship to break up because of an immature trait like this when she has grown in a lot of areas. OMG, not the a-hole, and WTF. Unless you lied and she was upset in the past about both, then how in the heck would you have known she was upset? And let's say you're lying. Again, I am thinking you're not. And she was upset. This was over 8 years ago. Who in the heck has a loving relationship with their sister and waits 8 years or even 6 to 7 to get them back? What a terrible and awful thing to do. You may be proud of the woman she has become, but I hope she has some redeeming qualities because I don't see an adult. I see a bratty, spoiled 7-year-old throwing a tantrum with a wedding veil on. I won't lie, she can be very bratty at times and hold a grudge like no one I have ever seen. This is seen in the fact that her fiance wants to marry her. I don't want to degrade her character, as this post is not what that is about. I just needed confirmation if I was an a-hole back then and if I should apologize now. It wouldn't change the past, but if I was in the wrong, I want to at least apologize for the part that I played. Update. Clarifying points. Timeline. Party was a month ago, but pictures from her friend that does photography had just gotten back to my sister, who sent them to our mother a week later. I did not get my parents involved any further than they already were. They could address the issue of being lied to on their own. I did not drop out of the wedding party, as it would have put her in a bind. The wedding was this past weekend. Despite what she did, I did not see a reason to put her through that kind of stress and further exacerbate the problem. But on to the update. Fake names used. The weekend after posting the original post, I got lunch with my sister, Emily, and her fiance, Cooper. My husband had to work. I first asked what she remembered about the situation around my bachelorette party because I thought that I might have forgot or misremembered something. Emily confirmed everything that I remembered and explained that she was agreeable to the arrangements back then. So,
Oh my gosh.
I asked why, years later, she felt she needed to get revenge when she had been okay with the agreements back then. Well, it turns out that Emily had never had a years-long grudge against me. It happened out of jealousy. Her maid of honor, Katie, had her wedding last year, where her maid of honor was her older sister. And later this year, Katie's sister was to be married with Katie as her maid of honor. Katie romanticized how it was so sweet that her and her sister could have this special connection by being each other's maid of honor. Katie talked it up so much that it got to Emily and made her resent that we couldn't have the same thing because of what I did years ago with not having her be the maid of honor. She did not have me be maid of honor because she had a strong connection with Katie, fair enough. So I validated her feelings, but explained that just because she was jealous of something, she couldn't retroactively take back her agreement from the past if it was truly acceptable to her at the time. I told Emily that I would not drop out of the wedding party, but in exchange, I requested we needed to see a family therapist as I couldn't trust that there were not other situations in which she would act out like this, and we needed to explore it together. By the way, what else is interesting is every episode we have ever released. Just go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or your favorite podcast app, and literally plug us into your brain holes for until you freaking wither away into dust.
Yeah, you could have us with you.
What do we think about this? Like, hey, I want to see a family counselor.
Honestly,
I think now if the sister's saying it's just jealousy, it could be good, but I feel like it might be resolved really quickly, depending on how deep-rooted this jealousy is, though.
yeah. And I don't know. I feel like family counseling might be best for, OP's sister and husband, new husband. I feel like they should probably go to therapy together instead of you and, I don't know, it's like going to family therapy with me and Tate. Like, we're not really that close. We're kind of in different parts of life.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's like, how about we just like play video games together like once a week for an hour?
Man's
Such a
therapy.
guy thing to say.
Well, like, what about you and, I don't know. Do you
And
have,
my non-existent sister.
dang it, Carly.
Dang it.
You know what? You got a
Are
sister.
you an only child?
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh
wow.
my gosh, you and freaking Dakota. You can't even relate to anything.
Yeah, for
It's
real.
like if
And yet we always get put on the crazy sibling stories together to read upstairs, and I'm like, why are we the ones?
we have no
We
say
give
in
the
this.
disclaimer, we are the only children here, we'll do our best.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think they need it. They're in different parts of life. I think just keeping in contact or like trying to, I don't know, maybe a mediator.
Let's get into the finale of the story. So Cooper then requested Emily to either go to therapy or do couples therapy because she had not only lied to him like the rest of our family, but he saw it as a red flag that she got so jealous of someone else's happiness to cause this much pain to her own sister. So there were a lot of tears on her part and maybe mine, but I think we will get through this. Some of you pointed out that my actions maybe coddled her and to cut her out, but since this was the first time she did it to me, I wanted to give her a chance at redemption. We love that. Emily and Cooper are off on their honeymoon. Emily and I have our first therapy session in 3 weeks, and she will be starting individual therapy at the request of her husband. Well,
Okay.
not the worst ending ever.